Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
Hey everybody, welcome to Armchair Rocket Science. SpaceX is fixing to launch another rocket, so I thought we would just bring this one to you. Being it is the 41st launch this year for SpaceX, which is a new record. The 14th flight of a SpaceX rocket. It will be the 39th reflight in 2022. The 144th booster landing and 67th consecutive landing, which is records. Where is this? First thing I got to do is I got to get this going here. Okay, because I don't want to mess this up again. This is for a Starlink and Starlink Shell 4 and a BlueWalker 3, which is a ride share for a cellular satellite network. Okay, SpaceX is.
And I'm a production and engineering manager here at SpaceX. I'll be your host for our 41st launch of 2022 and 54th overall launch from Launch Complex 39A.
Tanks are pressing for strong back retract.
39A at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The teams are currently tracking no issues with the vehicles or spacecraft. Weather and range are both green for launch, and we are proceeding with a T0 of 9:20 p.m. Eastern Time. Along with our 34 Starlink satellites, today's mission has a rideshare payload for our customer AST Space Mobile. BlueWalker 3 is a direct-to-cell phone satellite and happens to be the largest rideshare that SpaceX has ever supported, weighing in at 1,500 kilograms. Although we won't have ground station coverage at the time of deploy to show live views, we will keep the nets up on YouTube so that when we regain coverage, you can listen in for confirmation from our teams. Range is green and ready to support liftoff in just about 4 minutes from now. We are facing some clouds today, and weather is currently 40% chance of violation. And in preparation for liftoff, we are standing by for transporter erector retraction. And you can see there on your screen, the clamp arms are just about fully open, so we should see that TE begin to move back in just a few seconds.
Strong back retract.
And there you heard that call out, and it's very slow and slight, but the TE is beginning to move slightly away from the vehicle.
Stage 1 LOX load completes means all the liquid oxygen is on board the rocket.
Stage 1 LOX load is complete, and Stage 1 POGO.
And LOX load is complete on Stage 1. That concludes prop loading for Stage 1. Stage 2 will complete around the T-2 minute mark. And if you look at your screen, we've got a really cool view here. If you look at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, you can see Artemis there in the background. That is at pad 39B. Looking forward to that launch.
That is just to the left is SLS Artemis 1, which is getting ready for a launch.
And again, we are coming up on LOX load completion on Stage 2. We do load liquid oxygen as close to T0 as possible. This helps us keep it super chilled as close to T0 so that we can load more of it and take more into space.
Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
With LOX load complete on second stage, Falcon 9 is now fully loaded with 1 million pounds of fuel and liquid oxygen. While a typical Starlink mission will require 2 to 3 second stage engine burns, we will be performing a record number of 5 burns during this mission to support our rideshare payload. The first 2 burns will put the BlueWalker 3 payload into an orbit above the space station.
Close out.
The second 2 burns will bring us down to an orbit below the space station to deploy the Starlink satellites. And the final burn will be to deorbit the Falcon 9 second stage.
And this rocket will be
Next
landing.
milestone will be Falcon 9 in startup here in a few seconds.
We've got to go for launch.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
And with that, the flight computers have now taken over the launch countdown.
Landing will be on the new drone ship, a shortfall of Gravitas.
SpaceX launch director, go for launch.
All right, 30 seconds.
Awesome news. We are go for launch, so let's watch as Falcon 9 lifts off.
T-minus 30 seconds.
All right.
15 seconds. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. And lift off of Falcon 9. Go BlueWalker 3, go Starlink. Vehicle is pitching down range. Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
Thanks, Carl. Carl Woodsman has joined the chat and gave us a big thumbs up.
What you are seeing on your screen is Falcon 9 accelerating AST Space Mobile's BlueWalker 3 and our Starlink satellites into space. This is a record 14th flight for this first stage booster. And we are coming up on
Falcon 9 is supersonic.
We're coming up on max Q.
And we are at max Q now. I need to move me away from there, so let me get back to here. We're already.
Now we are just about a minute.
Engine chill has started.
We're just about a minute away from a few events happening rapidly, back to back. That will be MECO, or main engine cutoff, followed by stage separation, SES-1, and fairing deploy. And you're seeing a cool view from the first stage, looking aft to the M1D engines on the vehicle. And MECO will be where all 9 of those M1D engines shut down. That helps slow the vehicle down as it separates from the second stage. And then SES-1 is second stage engine start 1, and that's where the MVAC engine will ignite, and then shortly followed by the fairing deploy.
Carl saying, just catching up on some messages. It's all that my show had popped up. Carl,
Main engine cut off.
All right, main engine cut off. And second engine start.
MVAC ignition.
And as you can see, it just disappeared.
There we had MECO stage separation. On your right-hand screen, you could see the MVAC engine
Carl,
igniting.
Separation confirmed.
Just less than an hour ago,
And
I
we heard-
decided to go
Vehicles are on
ahead and
nominal trajectories.
go with this launch.
We heard a confirmation of fairing deploy. That marks the 5th flight for one of the fairing halves and the 4th flight for the other fairing half, and we will attempt to recover both fairing halves again to use on a future launch.
Fifth flight for one side of the fairing, 4th flight for the other.
And there you could
side
see
of
on
the
your
fairing.
right-hand screen the fairing halves
14th
deploying.
flight of this booster. Yeah, SpaceX has changed the game in the launch industry. And realize we're just now 4 minutes into the flight, and the booster is on its way back to Earth.
What you're seeing on your screen is a view from the second stage looking at our MVAC engine. Stage 1 is making its
acquisition signal, Bermuda.
Stage 1 is making its way back down to Earth, and today's mission marks SpaceX's 179th overall launch. The first stage booster supporting this mission previously launched Crew Demo 2, Anassist 2, CRS-21, Transporter 1, Transporter 3, and 8 Starlink missions.
And this booster will be back on Earth, bobbing out in the ocean on a big landing craft, only maybe 8.5 minutes after takeoff.
While Stage 1 is making its way back down to Earth, in just under a minute from now will be the next burn for the vehicle. That is the entry burn, and that's where 3 of the 9 M1D engines will reignite. That helps slow the vehicle down as it re-enters back into the Earth's atmosphere. And just about a minute and a half after the entry burn will be the landing burn for the first stage. The landing burn only needs a single engine to help slow the vehicle down as it attempts to touch down. Today will be on our drone ship a shortfall of gravitas.
Exactly, Carl. Reuse and recycling. None of it's thrown away in the ocean like all the other launches.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
And there you heard that call out, but you can see on your left-hand screen a view from the first stage with those 3 engines reigniting and lighting up that screen.
Yeah, they're just slowing it down so it actually doesn't break up in the
Stage 1 entry burn
coming
shut
back
down.
into the atmosphere.
Stage 1 FTS, saved.
Go ahead and pull that
And
down.
that concludes the entry burn for the first stage.
And if you look there on the left
Both
of the
vehicles
screen, you can
continue
see
to
the
follow
actual
nominal trajectories.
speeds.
And good call-outs there. Both first stage 1 and stage 2 are
altitude
on nominal
is
trajectories.
Dropping like a rock. It's done in kilometers because SpaceX uses the National System of Measurements.
Again, we are on just about a minute away from the landing burn beginning on the first stage. And while the first stage booster is attempting to land, we will also have SECO, or second stage engine cutoff 1, around the same time. So listen in for those call-outs.
Stage 1 transonic.
Transonic means it's passing through the sound barrier.
Expected loss of signal, Cape.
It's at 5
Stage 2
kilometers.
turbo guidance.
Good call-outs. We should be having the
3
landing burn
kilometers.
beginning on stage 1 here in just a few seconds.
2.
Stage 1 landing burn.
And there you can see that single engine lighting up
And they
your
dropped the
left-hand
landing
screen
legs
as
right
Falcon
at the
9
last
attempts to
second.
land on our drone ship, a shortfall of gravitas.
You start to see the ship there.
Landing leg deploy.
And put it right on the bullseye.
Stage 1 landing confirmed.
And great news, Falcon 9 has
And back
landed.
shutdown.
This is a record-breaking 14th landing for this booster. An awesome view there on your screen. This is the 141st landing of an orbital class rocket, including
Nominal
Falcon
parking
9.
orbit insertion.
That includes Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy missions. And we just heard confirmation of good orbit as well on the second stage. Now stage 2 is carrying BlueWalker 3 as well as 34 Starlink satellites into low Earth orbit.
And
With
the
confirmation of first stage landing and successful SECO 1, we'll wrap up today's launch coverage. If you're interested in following along, we have our nets live on YouTube, and be sure to check out SpaceX. Be sure to check out SpaceX social media for confirmation of BlueWalker 3 and Starlink deploy. Have a good night, and we'll see you again soon.
And that wraps up our coverage also. Go ahead and cut that down, leave SpaceX logo up there because it just looks so good. There, make it even bigger for everybody to see. Thanks, Carl, for tuning in with us live. If anybody watching on the replay, be sure to give us a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. And we will catch you again on the next. Okay, now that's done. I'll go ahead and drop that down. There is another Starlink launch tomorrow. We may or may not cover that, but stay tuned. Usually we make those decisions within an hour of launch. So stay tuned with that. And Carl, I guess I'll see you on another show here in just a little bit. But for that, Armchair Rocket Science is signing off for this broadcast. And stay tuned for our next broadcast, probably sometime tomorrow afternoon. Well, shoot, let me just do this. The next launch is well, it's not in the normal time. That doesn't give me the right reading time. The next launch will be tomorrow evening at 10:53 p.m. We will let you know if we're going to go live with that one or not. Sometime during the day tomorrow. Definitely start following Armchair Rocket Science on Facebook for a notification of if we're going live yet or not. Thank you, everybody, and good night.